Hello everyone, we have another fantastic offer in the shop from Wargaming, and this time we have a chance to get T25 Pilot 1, the American premium medium tank on tier 8. And this material is just to bring you some information and details about the tank and to help you up to make a decision to buy or maybe not to buy. So as you can see in the shop, we have offer in containers. That's supposed to be first emergency light. Do not touch containers. But if anyone somehow decide to buy containers, let's take a look what we have inside. Each container includes T25 Pilot 1, of course, but with a 5% drop chance of the tank. So I have to say it again because I can see lots of messages on the Facebook fan page in the groups when the people asking if I, for example, if I have 5%, so if I buy 20 containers, I'm gonna get the tank? No. Because 5% is for each container that you buy. Each separated container have only 5%, and this is not accumulating. So every time when you buy a container, you have a 5% to get the tank. Bear in mind. Now, the next thing to get is one charm for Pilot 1, and when you collect 25 charms, you have guaranteed the tank. Which means you have to get, if you're extremely unlucky, you have to basically you have to buy 25 containers. Which is £5 for each container. 25 containers basically gives you 125 pounds for a tank on tier 8. Is it worth to buy? Seriously, let's just say this way: for 125 pounds you can buy on a second-hand market. You know, you can build a nice decent setup, PC setup, and play any other games. So just consider that for 125 pounds. If of course if you're unlucky, if you're very unlucky. But what we have there, we have all, like I said, we have 5% chance to get the tank, one charm to get for the tank, and then one of the following options: Interpret legendary camouflage for T25 Pilot. But again, the drop chance for camouflage is 7%. So it's not like you're gonna get, and there is no chance. So it's not like you're gonna get, if when you get a tank, you're gonna get it with that epic camo. No, there is a 7% of chance to get this camo. And then the first option is up to 30 epic boosters, plus up to 5 certificates for 28,000 of free XP, and up to 1,000 of gold. Of course, plus one charm of T25. So you may have 2 charms if you're lucky, because this is the first option. Now, the second option is up to 30 rare boosters, up to 5 certificates for 2,300 free XP only, up to 1,000 of gold, plus a charm of T25. So this is the second option. One of those you can get. And the third option is up to 30 common boosters, up to 20 certificates for 200 free XP, and up to 1,000 of gold. Up to, which means you don't get 200 XP or 1,000 of gold every time. This is the range probably from 10 gold to 1,000. Of course, if you know Wargaming, the chance to get 1,000 is probably about 1-2% maybe, but you still have a chance. And of course, charms for a T25 Pilot. If you somehow get lucky and within, like, let's say 10 containers, you're gonna get the tank. So every time if you get another option to get the tank, so you must be extremely lucky, you're gonna get a compensation of 3,750 gold. And if you manage to get the camo second time, the compensation for camo is 725 of gold. That's it. So let's take a look at the parameters now. We have a 90mm American gun here on this vehicle, with penetration on 192mm on regular shells, 243mm on premium, and 45mm on high explosives, which is quite good for tier 8 medium tank. Is good enough because you'll be pretty much able to penetrate most of the target. Of course, you don't fight face to face with the heavy tanks, so the heavy armor shouldn't be a problem, because this is not a tank to clash face to face with the heavy tanks. For other targets, supposed to be enough. Alpha damage: 225 points on regular shells, 190 on premium, and 270 on high explosives. This is also quite typical for medium tanks on tier 8. It's just the average one. Reload time 5.8, which could be reduced to the 5.2, 5.3 at some point with the using of equipment and consumables. That gives us quite nice quick shooting gun. Aiming time 3.8. This is quite high because it's almost 4 seconds of aiming for a quick shooting gun. You may not be always able to focus 100% to shoot, but if you look at dispersion of this gun, 0.312, the gun is still quite accurate. So even if you don't focus 100%, you should be able to hit the target. And all of those parameters together gives us a DPM on 2,327 points per minute, which is quite high. That's really good DPM, one of the highest DPMs among tier 8 medium tanks. Gun depression 10 degrees, typical for American tanks, and elevation 20 degrees, the same. Let's take a look about on the engine and speed of this tank now then. So we have engine with 644 horsepower and power to weight ratio on 17.2 horsepower per ton, which gives us average speed about 36-40 km per hour with maximum 50, but 50 is very difficult to achieve. The usual speed of this tank is about 36-40 km per hour. The reverse speed is 20 km per hour, and the tank is quite fast, but the only problem is the start of this tank. It's not very good starter. It's quite slow starter and a bit sluggish, but since you get the speed, get the average speed, it goes quite well. So now it's time for armor profile. So this is armor profile of T25 Pilot 1. As you can see, it doesn't look very impressive, and in parameters it is truly not very good. As you can see, we had 115, 110 millimeters on the frontal upper plate. The lower plate is 114, 116. So even tier 7 tanks gonna penetrate this armor without any problems. In here we have a huge weak spot with 78, less than 80 millimeters of armor here. So most of the tanks can penetrate this part with high explosives, which is quite bad. And the turret, as you can see, we have gun mounted that covers most of the frontal part of this turret. But if you remember, American medium tank Pershing, their gun mounted was much bigger and covered bigger part of the front, so it was much easier to protect yourself. In here, the gun mounted is much smaller, and the sides of the armor are still visible. And if you can take a look here, we had 152 millimeters here on the side, 148, 150 here, and then further down it goes higher because of the shape of this turret. So this part gonna bounce, but you got to be careful because here you can still be penetrated. The weak spots here, 2 hatches with 111, 120 millimeters, 107 here. So those two gonna be quite easily penetrated. So if you use your gun depression, which is 10 degrees like we just talked a while ago, and cover all the lower part, so you still can use, let's say, oh, that should be alright. So if you manage to cover this part, the lower part, still have 160 on the turret, but the weak spots here are getting a bit smaller. And then if you wriggle just a tiny bit, left and right with the turret, so it makes a bit more difficult to the enemy to hit the weak parts of the turret, and a gun mounted can help you up to bounce something. On the side armor, there's no surprise. We have 51 millimeters all along the side armor. Turret 120, 121, same, nothing impressive. So the side armor is quite weak, and the same on the back as most of the tanks. 65 millimeter on the turret and 40 millimeters on the back, 46, 44. So like always, huge high explosives magnet on the back of this turret. So as you can see, the armor of this tank is not very impressive. So you get to be careful. Or try to find a hold down position, which is quite good with this high gun depression, or just stay in a move and don't get yourself focused. In here, like we just talked about, armor performance against tier 7, nothing special. So hull is still quite weak, and armor on the turret, like we just said, we just talked about, on the sides is a bit harder, but the frontal parts are still penetratable. Against tier 8 and 9, there's no surprises. Very weak armor, so you got to be very careful playing this tank. Okay, that was a theory. Let's talk about the practical part now. What we have here is a good gun, very good gun, on a decent platform with decent speed, not impressive but quite good speed. No armor, so you have to be careful, do not expose yourself. Slightly better armor on the turret, That gives you a chance to the cooldown, and that's it. So how to play this tank? Basically, you have to avoid being spotted. That's the first thing. You got to stay away don't let the enemy to focus on you, because like we just talked about, you're going to be penetrated all over the places. So use your DPM, use your speed. Basically play as a support, like a second line support. If the enemies get focused on the heavy tanks, on the first line heavy tank, you should supposed to use your DPM and a quick reload just to deal high level of damage. You can use this tank on a cooldown, of course, with the level of protection, because the turret is not perfectly covered. So you can use some tricks like we just talked about, but it's not 100% you're gonna be safe. And it's quite good also for a dogfight, you know, for circling the enemy, like a circle of death, because it has a very good DPM that helps a lot to kill most of the enemies before they kill you. And that's it. If I recommend this tank, no. Why? Because of the crates, basically because of the crates. There is no such a tank, no option for tier A tank to be sold in the crates, and the mechanism of a crates is for me unacceptable. So basically, at this point, I would say clearly no. This is not good option to buy. If this tank comes back with regular options, like, you know, to buy for gold, yes, that's gonna be a very good tank to buy, of course, as a medium to play on tier 8, but not in the crates. So basically, just avoid that. Just stay away for a while, because, like we know, those tanks are coming back. At the beginning, they're coming with the crates, and then, you know, the price is quite high. So a few months later, like 2 or 3 months later, they will probably come back with a regular offer with for some gold. Probably gonna cost a little bit more than the regular premium tanks, but it's much better to buy for gold if you want to buy it, than risk your money and your luck, test your luck on the crates. It's just basically like a gambling system, which is pretty much unfair for all the gamblers. Right, thanks very much for watching. I hope I helped you up with to make decision on this tank. If you want to see any other videos with materials about the other tanks, you can browse the channel. If you like my materials, you can subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for incoming videos. Meanwhile, thanks everyone, and see you next time. Take care.